listening to this podcast right now. Do you want to hear a fucking podcast about anything and everything? Yeah. Like movies, music, television, and more?
Oh my god.
Well, you've come to the right place. Yes. Subscribe to Journey into Comics Network, and you get Podcastrophe, hosted by me, Dick. Why not throw a couple bucks to the Patreon? It's your choice. Yeah. This is a Podcastrophe.
That sounds so awesome.
The following
is a Journey into Comics.
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 Network.
Production.
Hello, and welcome back to another Adulting Ain't Easy. This is Season 2, Episode 11, and I'm one of your hosts, Miss Liz, and joining me, per usual, is the husband, Mr. Andrew.
Hello.
So, yeah.
Miss Liz.
Miss Liz, Mr. Andrew. I'm still in school mode, even though we've been out for a few hours.
Wouldn't you be Mrs. Liz?
Well, you know, because I'm still young, I like to refer to myself as Miss.
I get that.
Yeah.
So, why are we here today? Besides, this
because it's a bi-weekly show and we have to record something.
Like, what are we here talking about today?
Well, it's kind of I don't know if it's a personal topic or not, but it's kind of something that has come to our forefront mind recently. I guess I like to call it might have an actual name. I don't know. I call it the Millennial move.
Yeah, you were talking about this earlier before we recorded, how millennials are nomadic, I guess?
Yeah, there's like a weird, for some reason, all of a sudden, now people are becoming not just nomadic in their like physically moving from place to place, but also in terms of other parts of their life, which is like, I don't know, for some people that are more traditional, it's a little scary.
Right. Like, I don't know if it's just, like, they get restless, because, like, the people, like, millennials are also copping to, like, want to get out of, like, sometimes out of, like, long-term relationships and all this stuff. Like, people get restless, or they don't settle into a life routine.
Yeah, it's harder for us, and I don't know why it's harder for us.
I don't know if it's a generation trying to get away from what our parents did, because the past our parents' generation and before that were like, you got married in your 20s, kids in your 30s, you had one job and you stayed that job until you retired, got your gold watch and called it a day. Mm-hmm. Like, and then this generation's like, if you don't move every 2 years for your job, you're not gonna succeed in life.
Yeah, and I don't know, because I mean the reason we brought it up is because we do have friends that are moving. They are picking up their whole life, and even though they've been in Chicago, I think, for 4 years now, roughly, like 4.
5 apartments for? No,
yeah, something like that. But they decided that they wanted to go to Portland, so they're moving to Portland, and they leave Thursday, and it was kind of like they told us almost like in a breakup way, because they took us a whole like group of friends went out to dinner, and they like literally towards the end of the meal, like the dinner, they were like, oh, by the way, we called you all here for a reason, and I was just like, oh crap, now what, like what's wrong, like we thought, because it's our couple friends,
and because they weren't engaged yet. No,
yeah, they were
okay. Mm-hmm.
So we were like, I was like, oh my god, are they saying that they're not going to be together anymore, or what's going to happen?
They're pregnant. Like, what is the news?
Yeah, and then they're like, well, Drew got a job out in Portland. We're moving in September, at the end of September. So now it's like actually hitting us that one of our really good friends is leaving us, and we've got feelings about it.
Yeah, in the midst of like their wedding and like still getting married here, and it's weird, and like we're close with them, and it's just hard to be like in a situation where you're not going to see them like every week.
Yeah, because with our group of friends, I mean, we try to get together at least like once during the week, and if we can't get together once during the week, it'd be like on the weekend or something, and they kept us social, to say the
Right.
least.
And it didn't help, like, one of our other friends was also in that same kind of state. Like, he was, like, he had just, like, finished grad school, and he was just like, well, I'm looking at jobs kind of all over the place. Like, wherever I get it, I'm
Or just
gonna
like,
go.
how could we lose 3 friends in a matter of few months? That would be crazy. But
Right, because it's almost like, not like the end of the school year thing, but it's like, oh, look, too much, but it's like, you're not gonna have the same level of friendship over a distance. Like, my best friend lives on the other coast, and we still talk often, but it's not the same level that we were when we were in the same state.
But on the other side of that, when you two do get together, it is very
Right.
much the same.
Well, and it's very one-on-one. It's very...
But that's what I worry about, is because, I don't know, you just worry that, because that doesn't always happen. Mm-hmm. And these are good friends, and we don't want them to forget about us in the joyous land of Portlandia.
Right. Because it's one of the things, like... Because having, like, a friend that's just yours is one thing, but when you have, like, a couple of friends that you both tend to get along with, like, you each get along with the other person and their significant other, and vice versa. So it's not always like, oh, we're gonna hang out with your friends. They're our friends. Like,
right.
it's a whole nother vibe. And it kind of got us thinking about, like... Because, like, honestly don't know, like, if I had a weird job opportunity, or, like, I got restless in my job, like I wasn't getting promoted or raised or whatever, and it's like, oh, I need a change of pace, and it was like, oh, we're gonna have to move to, like, Ohio or to, like, Colorado or one of the Dakotas or something. I don't know if I would honestly, like, go to do that. Like, my family is here, your family is here, most of our friends are here. It just doesn't make sense to uproot ourselves. But I don't know, I haven't been put in that situation yet, so I don't know how it would feel.
I don't know, I'm just such a when it comes to, like, living in a certain place, like, I'm comfortable living here. Like, I think, for me, I think it all comes down, sometimes it comes down to, like, how close your family is and whatever. Like, I know, like, for us, it's different because our parents still live in the same house that we grew up in, and they don't really have any plans to move, so you're like, okay, like, I want to stay here too, this is where all the action is. And then, but if your family is not like that, then it might be more means of, like, well, if they move, maybe I need to move too. But like, I don't know, from what they were saying, like, one of our friends was saying, like, oh, he had went on a trip there once when he was really young, and he just knew he was going to move there. But I honestly, like, I've never really felt like that with a like a particular place. Maybe, like, a little bit in South Africa, but I was like, would that be really sustainable?
You never want to live
doubt
there.
it.
It's like, I want to visit more often, but, like, it's never like...
But I mean, that was probably, when we went to South Africa in Cape Town, that was probably one of my closest moments that would be like, if I lived here, it wouldn't be so bad. But then it's like, that wasn't even considering, like, oh, your parents are a 22-hour plane ride away. And
right, and do you want to raise kids that far away from a support system?
Right, and so
like, you don't know how, like, the education, like, can you be a teacher over there because you're a teacher over here? Like, it's just a whole another mess of things, even though English is the language for the most part.
Yeah, but I think that was, like, the closest feeling that I had. I never had, like, yeah, I'll complain about where we live and whatever, but I'm not one to be, I guess I'm not proactive in my feeling of, oh, I don't like it here. But really, I mean, like, I like where we live.
Right.
I like, our house is really good now. It's in a good place. At first I was, when we had to do all the initial, like, cleaning it up and stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, what the hell did we get into?
Mm-hmm. And you've heard us talk about it.
Yeah. But now it's like, it's feeling more like home. I mean, it feels like home. We have our routine, and I guess I think I might be more of, like, a traditional person in the sense, but I like my routine.
Right.
Like, sporadic plans are fun sometimes, like, when you're kind of, like, in the mood, like, oh, we don't have any plans, like, I hope someone calls me, but it's like, like, I don't like being too off my routine, or else I feel overwhelmed and freaked out. But there are some people that can just, like, go and go and go and go, and every day is different, and I don't know if I could do that. I guess I feel like in my mind, I don't consider myself, like, the millennial a lot. It's like, oh, I think of myself as not like a baby boomer, but like one in between where it's like,
Like,
I don't know. I'm a person.
yeah, I think it all depends on your personality. Like, because like I have family and stuff that like they moved around a lot growing up and continue to do that as adults because it's just they got used to the routine of not staying in one place. Mm-hmm. So they feel like they need to change just to keep everything moving like normal. Mm-hmm. And some people are just like they want to experience other places. Like, and sure, if you're young, unattached, and you just want to travel and live in a bunch of different places, more power to you. But it was never. Liz and I are very much traditionalists and like not wanting to venture too crazy far out of our comfort zone. Like, I like as much as people say like, oh, Danville's the worst, I can't wait to get out of it, but I don't know, I've never really felt that way. Like, every city has their problems, every city has the things that they're proud of, and I think you can make any place of it what you will.
Yeah. I guess you're right. I mean, I don't know. You said you wanted to be out of I mean, it wasn't because it was bad, it was because you didn't have... I think there's a difference between, like, thinking a place is bad, it's horrible, whatever, and then feeling like this place that I'm at right now doesn't have opportunities. And I think that's where you were with Danville, was like, you know, I have this job, like, because you had a job there for, 2 years? Mm-hmm. And there was, like, literally nobody was retiring from the engineering facility or anything. So you're like, I'd be sitting here in this job for years and I wouldn't go anywhere.
Right, and it wasn't even like, and that's what even the engineering wasn't something I really wanted to do, but it was a really good company. I had, like, great benefits and stuff. It was like, but I was being underutilized and kind of being bored almost to an extent. Mm-hmm. Like, I enjoyed, like, aspects of it, but, like, and then, like, the only other job opportunities really there involved, like, being in hot factories all day, which is never something that I've been a fan of because, like, I was just in hot factories when I was traveling for work recently, and I couldn't do that every day. I would dissolve because I just sweat profusely when I breathe, so I was just miserable. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, never something that appealed to me. So it really, I had to get out to actually venture, and it just so happened I have opportunities more where your neck of the woods. Mm-hmm. And it's happened we also were a bunch of, like, my friends from college were. Because, like, a lot of the people, like, because I was, like, when I went to college, no one really, like, my friend group didn't really go to the same college, and they never, and some of them left, some came back, and it's just a different vibe there. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't really... I think I just would have, like, outgrown the area.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people, like, your friend group was, like, they, like, kind of, like, rushed into some things that took them far away. Like, one of your friends went into the Navy and was gone. Like, they were at base camp, and then it's like, oh, guess what? You're going to South Korea on a boat. Yeah. And, like, or, like, your other friends that were, like, they're going to be a pastor, and they're going to just go to the middle of nowhere to get their pastoral degree and then just bop all over the place trying to get...
And then you just get paired up with the church. It involves moving you, like... Mm-hmm. One of them just got settled into Peoria. The other one is doing a little bit of everything in Lafayette. And it's just like, okay. So you got to go where you can find opportunity.
Yeah.
And I get that, but, like, I would... Like, my friend group... Well, except for, like, the one friend who actually came back, like, my friend group doesn't exist in Danville anymore. Right. Like, there were friends I had, like, when I was doing theater and stuff, but those were all older people. Like, and who know, and they
not, like, people you would want to go out with.
Right. Like, there were, like, people who had, like, I was somewhere in the age group between their kids' age and their age, and it's just, you don't typically hang out with someone who's, like, 15 to 20 years older than you. It just doesn't...
Unless they're family.
Right. It's just odd. Like... You can have friends whatever age you want. It's just different because you're just at different life stages. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and I mean, with me too, I feel like I'm getting into that, like, rut. I mean, I always say I'm like, my job's not, I'm not moving anywhere with my job and whatever. But at the same time, I do have my creature comforts there. Like, do I really want to be the new kid again? Do I really want to go through, like, getting to know people when I already have people that I know and I like, and, you know, I have a routine, and, you know, I don't know. As much as I want to make more money because I'm in a really low-paying district, I mean, it's like, am I going to get the same friends that like, coworkers that I have? Am I going to get someone similar to the boss I have now, who literally I could walk into his office all pissed off and swearing, and he would not even, like, hold it against me? Right. Or like my vice principal, I've gone to her office like in tears, crying, and she, doesn't even.
Right.
They realize I'm a person, and sometimes like I worry like is it like just because it's Fox Lake where I'm at, or is it because or are like other people like that too, and you wouldn't really know until you venture. But I'm scared to venture.
Right, because it's safe. Mm-hmm. Which it could be a lot to like. People could be saying like by us choosing to live not super far from family, staying in jobs that are comfortable, it chooses us to be safe instead of like choosing new opportunities. But I think that's still like
we still have our adventures. We just choose to do it differently. We want to. Our everyday life is one aspect, and then. The things that we want to do in terms of, like, free time and vacations, like, I think it's adventurous.
Right. I'm just saying, like, in, like, our decisions with regards to, like, work, living, all of that could be seen by others as safe.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that.
Right. I think there's nothing wrong with being safe in that way. Mm-hmm. Like... So, like, some people will, like, move to a place where they even have a job and be like, I'll figure it out. Like, no, that scares the crap out of me. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't...
Does that mean that we're more adults than those people? I don't know. That really makes me feel I'm responsible, but that sounds bad, too, but...
Yeah, like, it's responsible to an extent, I think, to choose the safe decision, like, knowing, like, everything's good here, but who knows that things wouldn't be better.
Yeah.
It's choosing... Like, I don't know.
It's choosing the more stable option of the however many options you have.
Right. And in life, there's millions and millions of options on a day-to-day basis you can make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I definitely feel like people are adventurous in their own way, and we choose just to have a routine that hasn't served us wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's also, I feel like, too... I feel like not only you see like the quote unquote millennial move with like jobs and like just moving in general, like moving to a different place from what you're used to, but I also kind of see it in friendships as well. Like you have there's very few people that can say that they've had the same like group of friends for a certain amount of time, or they've had the same best friend for years and years and years.
Right.
Like, it's really, because I feel like a lot of times, even though we have the technology to communicate a lot more than in the past, I feel like just the out of sight, out of mind kind of thing flows in. I mean, I'm guilty of that. Like, my best friend and I haven't seen each other. She lives in Chicago and we live in Mundelein. And we haven't seen each other since our wedding. That's been months, and
it's almost 9 months from now, or 9 months ago.
So,
it's just hard. Like,
and I mean, we try, and in that time span, we've tried to make plans and things like that.
You've talked. It's not like you heard nothing from each other,
right? But it's not this. Again, it's kind of like you and Zach, where the distance is the issue. But for us, it's just the busy lives. Like, she's always on the go, traveling for work. And,
like, that's another
thing.
You
kind of, like, forget about sometimes, and I think it's just a product of your work till you die type thing. Because you work and you work and you work and you really don't think about anything but work until you get home. And then by the time you get home, you're like, do I really want to, like, sit on the phone? Like, there's certain people I know that, like, once they got off of work, they would, like, be on the phone. Like, one of my friend's moms who got back into working for a few years before recently, she would go on the phone and, like, talk to her sisters for an hour at a time. And she has 2 sisters, and, then she'd call her friends. And, like, basically while dinner was being made, she was on the phone. And, like, that's not a thing anymore. If you're on your phone while you're making dinner, it's probably either A, looking up the recipe, or B, trying to occupy yourself until the food is ready or the next step is there.
Right. And I think, there's definitely, because, like, I have friends, like, who, like, they'll get off work and they'll go immediately to meet up with friends, like, and I don't know if it's, like, I don't have, like, the social energy for it, but it's, like, sometimes I just kind of, like, want to wind down after work. Like, there's days I can do it, but, like, if I do that every day, I think I would just be perpetually exhausted. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, like, even, like, when we're, like, oh, we have to like not like rush our routine, but like, okay, well, if we're doing this tomorrow, I have to get home I have to make sure I'm home on time. We have to eat at this certain time so we can go do this, and then go meet up with our friends. Mm-hmm. And like and then it's just like the same like when you're butting up against a different group's routines or their travels. Like it makes things more complicated and stressful.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I'm worried about with these friends, because we've gotten so close because of proximity, but now if you take away the proximity, is it going to be the same? And that's kind of the line that you fall on when it comes to like this millennial move thing. Because sure, you can make friends certain people can make friends wherever they go, but are they quality friends? Are these friends that you're going to be...
Is it fair weather friends?
Yeah, are they fair weather friends or not?
Right.
You know, and that's kind of the scary part when you have friends that are moving. You don't know if they're... You kind of figure out your true friends when they move away.
Right.
Because whoever decides to keep in contact, you know...
Like, because it's almost like it's the same thing of, like, oh, we'll, like, stay in touch when it's like saying at the end of summer camp, like, oh, we're gonna, like, write each other, like, every week, or I'm gonna come to visit you in a few weeks. Like, you can all say that when you leave, but it's just sometimes it comes down to, like, logistics. Like, you can't fly across coast, like, once a month. It's unrealistic and unaffordable. And you can't expect them to do the same. So it's just like, well, we're gonna go from seeing each other once to twice a week to maybe twice a year.
Yeah, and that's kind of like...
And then like when you're there, when they're here, they're gonna try and see as many people as they can. So it's like you're not getting the same quality level of time.
Yeah, your time is limited and it feels rushed. It's not like, even they had a going away party. Like, I feel bad. I feel like we're ranting about it, but it's whatever. But it was like, it was kind of already a taste of like what would happen, because we had like, they just had so many people there, like from different friend groups, like people from their high school, people from work, people from college, like they were just all there. And then there's like the group that we're a part of that sees each other at least twice a month. That would be even on the low side of things, but like,
kind of all,
and like we kind of cooped together, you know, and we're like, you know, they're traveling between all these people, and I'm kind of like,
and it really seemed like that all the groups, because like you're in different friend groups throughout your life. You have your work friends, your back home friends, your school friends, all that stuff. So those groups are they're friends with each other, but no one really breaks out of those groups. Like, the work friends are all with the work friends, and we're with our group, and the high school friends were talking to the high school friends. The college friends were kind of all over the place, and
so it's just like keeping all of the balance. Like, is it really possible to do that, or or is it going to be one of those things like I was talking about before, where you get off work and you spend hours calling people or texting people just to keep in contact, because even that is exhausting.
Right, like we have like a group message that we like talk to each other in fairly often, but is that going to go quiet when they like? And I'm not like Grant, like, we're still going to try to make it work, but if it's a one-sided thing, that's when it becomes difficult. Mm-hmm. But like, and I think we've talked about this before about like the concept of proximity friends. Mm-hmm. It's like the friends you have in school that you're not friends with when you get home. It's like, you're friends because you have all your classes together, but like you have nothing really deep in common that like you would get together outside of school. Right.
And sometimes it's a tricky kind of balance, because if you try to be friends, you know, it's a tricky thing. And I feel like there's a lot of like, I don't know, like anxious thoughts between, like, when you look on the internet and stuff, like you see a lot of anxious posts about like having friends or making plans, and you know, you're just like, when you see that stuff all the time, you're kind of like, well, do I really want to hang out with people, or do I want or like overthinking? I feel like I totally sabotage myself, because I like, even though some of them are like posts that are joking about like, oh, I'd rather just stay in my bed than go out, or right. Like, if I see those enough, it's kind of like it ingrains in my brain, like, maybe I don't want to go out. Like, maybe I don't want to do this type of thing anymore. And then it's like,
yeah, I don't have to put on pants. Like,
yeah, and then I'm like, well, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to sit, because I know even like certain times when we've wanted to have like plans and everybody's busy, like 2 days of like not having any socializing like on a weekend,
Right.
it kind of like feels weird to me. I don't like that. Like I like having something to do at night, because during the day usually for us it's like chores and working on the bathroom and
Just working
you
in
know
general.
just working on the house in general, and then it's like then you're like, all right, quitting time, and then if you have nothing to do, it's like kind of boring.
It's like, do we need to become barflies and just like
Exactly. Then it makes you feel like you have to do something. And
right? Because I think we talked about before, but like how we were feeling that like that over Labor Day weekend, where it's like it's Sunday night, everyone's busy, we want to do something.
And I was just getting upset about it because I was like, you know, all of our other friends are doing things and we're just here, and you know, this sucks. And I
Like
was
everyone's
getting,
doing something separately, and
and
we're
then it
just,
was like, normally that would be a time that like my family, like we do things, and my parents were going out of town, so they didn't want to do anything, and like it was just like we
it was
can't
just
hang
bad
out.
timing.
Yeah, it was bad timing, and it was just like at that point I was just like so frustrated. Andrew's like, "Do you just want to go to this bar?" I'm like, "Yes, I do. I just want to be out."
Because like at the same time, like if we did something with people like 3 nights in a row, we're like we just need like a night off and to do nothing because we're just like socially exhausted, which I think is a very real thing. Mm-hmm. Like there's times where you're just like, I have so much stuff to do, but I need to just not do anything because it like, and I'm a pretty fair extrovert. Like I have introvert tendencies, but like still like you can't be social 100% of the time without just burning yourself out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just not. I don't know.
Right.
It makes me think that it's more than just this millennial mood. Now it's like a millennial mindset of like there's these certain things that, you know, we're supposed to think and supposed to do, and oh, all millennials are like this and blah blah blah, and you're
And I don't
just
know
like,
if it's a product of like the age, like the fact that like there's an age of like you have the knowledge and communication at your fingertips to. You could talk like I was talking to like when we were in Africa. I was talking to people back here, like no distances between us. Like I was still on like the group message. Like there's time difference, but I was talking to Nate at 8 a.m. my time when it was midnight his time, and it was normal than like us talking any other time. Mm-hmm. So like you feel like, oh, I can be wherever, and I still have the ability to talk to whoever, like old friend, new friend, whatever. And like with Snapchat, all that, like you're never separated friends, so it feels like I don't need to be this proximity person. Because like I'm sure in like our parents' like generation, if you were in the same town, that was your bubble. Like there was no friends outside of that. Like college friends, like if you couldn't like, yeah, you maybe had talked to one on like the landline, but like that probably didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Like my parents, I remember telling me like they made friends on their honeymoon with another couple, and then that was just over when they got back. Like we're still keeping contact with the friends we made there that are on the whole other coast. And like I was just talking to one, I just messaged one the other day, and it was yeah. I don't think I got a response back now that I think of it, but it's fine.
yeah.
Oh no, I did. I never texted back. I'm the worst.
Yeah. Well,
But
again, I mean, that's the thing, too. You get so busy and, like, people try to contact you and then you forget about it.
Well, it's like one of those things, like, if you initiate a text and then, like, they don't respond till, like, 3 hours later, like, you either are in the middle of something, you see the text come in, like, you ignore it, and then it just disappears. Like, and then, like, another text comes in, like, and it's easy to get behind on all that stuff. And I don't know if that, yeah, it could be just a product of the age, or it's just, like, a generational thing. Mm-hmm. Like, not super long ago, like, people left countries they were living in and went to another country to find a better life for themselves. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I feel
or
like...
to run away from their debt, like a friend of ours.
Yeah.
Who we always joke that he keeps going from country to country so he doesn't have to pay off his student loans because he's got a lot of debt.
They'll find him.
They will find him.
But there's no extradition treaty, so...
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's never going to go away. Mm-hmm. I don't know, we joke, but it is weird to be, like, so what you call it, millennial, with, like, a bunch of different mindsets that you have to interact with on a daily basis, and everyone thinks things differently. Like, we have, like, people in our friend group that are kind of the same way as us, like, no intentional plans to go anywhere, but we thought the friends that are moving now were like that. Because they never said anything otherwise. Like, they were pretty content. They like to travel. but like never had any means like, oh, we're just gonna uproot and go anywhere.
And even though we thought too that it would be more of like a, oh, once everybody starts having families and things, then that would be something that would happen. But then they kind of throw the bomb at us and it's like, oh, we're actually leaving right before we're getting married. And even though they're not getting married for another year.
Right. Well, that just happened to your cousin too, which we've talked about. But it's like, it's the same thing. It's like, and I don't know if it's like you have, like, I think it's just like a different stage in your life. You have the college friends, then you have like the post-college friends, then you have like, oh, the young, like, married couple friends, then the parents with kids, and then it just goes, then you have those long-term friends that stick through all the phases, but sometimes it's just like the group dwindles or adjusts every time. Like, who's to say, like, once, like, we have kids, obviously we won't be able to hang out or do as much stuff because you can't just get a babysitter every night of the week, or you can't bring the kid with you to a lot of things. Like, we can't bring a baby to a bar to hang out on Tuesday nights for trivia. Like, that doesn't work.
And why not? Why not? Why can't we make it work? Tell me.
I don't know.
Because I'm going to make it work.
All right, we'll say that now, but we might just be too tired. Because our routine is now, like, I don't know why I was thinking about this, and I don't know why I'm talking about it here, but, like, think about, like, our routine's pretty typical, but I know if we had a baby to deal with in the morning, our routine gets wildly different. Because, like, our morning routine now is, like, get up, one of us feeds certain animals, one of us feeds the other one, we usually alternate, then we get ourselves ready and move on with our day. But if you have to get a child up and motivated and off on their day, then, yeah, I feel like it just adds an extra hour to get up in the morning, and that just sounds awful.
And I already feel like I'm getting up early enough.
And I still get up before you. Most times. Or the same time as you. They give you an extra 15 minutes in bed.
Yeah, because you decided to go in the shower.
Yeah. Well, it's like, well, I usually, because both the routines usually start with the shower. Which I feel like is some people, I don't understand, like, they'll get up, like, they'll eat breakfast, then they'll shower, and I'm like, no. Like, that's been my routine since I was, like in grade school, I think, was, like, get up, you shower, and then you do everything else. And you get up, shower, dressed, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's I feel like everyone's, like, some people are, like, night showers, but I don't know. It's never been my thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just something.
Yeah, I don't, like, and who's to say, like, once, like, obviously, if I ever got, like, really stale in my current job where it's, like, things, like, just stop progressing, because I've had, like, raise and promotions with this job since I've had it, but, like, who's to say it doesn't just, like, nothing happens after this point. Like, I might be like, I like what I'm doing, but this isn't cool, so I don't know if I would look for another job to convince this job to compensate me better, or if I would just move. I have no interest in, like, moving states away for a different job opportunity. I feel like where I'm located now, I'm near enough stuff that falls in my wheelhouse of career. So I don't know. Maybe if we lived in the middle of nowhere, it would feel differently, but
we don't, thank God, because I don't think I like the idea of, like, living in the middle of nowhere, but then when I actually thinking about it, like, I would hate to be, like, a half an hour from a grocery store, half an hour from the nearest movie theater or mall or whatever. Like, I like where we live now, and I know I said it already. It's, like, because literally, like, a half a mile down the road, there are cornfields and, like, nothing. But our house, the way it's situated, we're also close to, like, restaurants and the mall and the movie theater.
And honestly, and we're within an hour of Chicago if there's anything big we want to do, like go to a sporting event, a concert. There's always something. And we're kind of basically like the equal distance between us in Milwaukee and us in Chicago. So
that's like kind of perfect, because that's where we do most of our concert going, because let's be real, we're not super excited to go to any sporting events ever.
Right. Like, if there's someone if I don't know anyone who's playing, I'm not gonna go. Like, I've gone to a professional baseball game, a professional a professional football game, and that's about the extent of it. One of each, and that's been fine. Like, I have no vested interest in doing more of that. I'd rather watch it on TV.
Or not at all.
Like, the extent of my, like, interest in like professional sporting events is fantasy football, and that I plan out my team. I look at projections all that night. I set my team, but I'm not actually watching each game to see. Oh, they had a good game. I'm like, oh, that was the score. Cool. Moving on. Like that's,
how many points did this person get me in fantasy? All right.
It's like every time it's
I
like,
have Cam Newton and got me 0, and I was really pissed off.
you didn't put him
He
in.
didn't. He was out.
And you didn't realize because we don't keep up with this stuff.
No.
Like I look because I get notifications and I'll check on like Thursday at work on my lunch. I'll be like, I do this thing. There's a website I go to called Who Should I Start, and I can put in like 2 people that maybe project to have similar points. Like who do the experts think will do better, and then I'll usually swap them in and out.
You cheater!
That's not cheating.
You are
That is
cheater.
strategy.
You're a cheater. Cheater.
It doesn't help me anyway. I still end up losing half the games.
You're so cheat.
I don't know, but
Cheater.
But I still like. There's some people who like, oh, I want to move to Chicago and live in the city. I'm like, I've said this countless times. You couldn't pay me to live in a downtown environment. Like, sure, you're next to everything, but I like having a yard. I like having pets. I like having the ability to just relax and have like a fire going. Like, if I go and start a fire in Chicago, I'm gonna get arrested. Like, I can't just I can't pull a fire pit out onto a sidewalk of an apartment building and start something, because that's how I'll either get arrested or accosted by a homeless person. Like, neither of those things sound fun. So I don't know. Like, I like where I am. I've always been not like the white picket fence, even though I'm staring at one, but like just a house in the suburbs is perfectly fine for us in our lives. And I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? I feel like we've covered the millennial move and kind of everything that kind of goes along with that, and fair weather friends, and just traditionalism with all that. And who's to say, like, in 10 years that could all be different, but for right now, that's all seems fine. Well, I think that'll do it for Adulting Ain't Easy Season 2, Episode 11. I am Andrew Poor.
I am Elizabeth
Ann.
Ann.
And that does it. You guys have a great week.